Our next speaker is a true voice for millennials. Sarah Gonzales is a front-page contributor at RedState.com. She's the leading conservative news blog. She's been involved in political activism since her college years at Texas State University. On a campus full of young liberals, she developed her own strategy for spreading the conservative message during George W. Bush's second presidential run. Gonzales has been extensively involved in several local political campaigns in her hometown of Dallas, Texas. In addition to political blogging and activism, she owns a successful health insurance brokerage firm and is an animal rescue volunteer. She also has a 3-year-old who's pretty adorable if you follow her on Twitter. So give it up for Sarah Gonzales.
Okay, first of all, I need you guys to get up. Get up, get up, get up, come on. We're gonna take a selfie. This is the only place that I can get away with, no, come up here, come on. I know you guys just ate lunch, I know. You don't wanna get up, I know. Oh, thank you. Okay. And if you don't wanna be in it, I guess don't come up here, but. All right. I know, this is brand new. You ready? Got it. Okay, thank you. I'll tweet that out later. How was lunch? What was for lunch? Anyone? I heard rumors about the cheesecake. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you guys so much for having me. I am really honored to come and have the opportunity to speak with you. How amazing is Turning Point, first of all? I am so in awe and inspired by all that they have done and are doing for people of your age, my age too. So really, it's incredible to see that the work that they've done. You know, you guys sitting here in this room right now, I feel like you're really kind of the lifeblood of the conservative movement. As all of you know, I'm sure by this point, the Conservative Party is really at a crossroads. And if we can't figure out how to win over the young demographic, minorities, you guys in this room, if we can't figure out how to win over your demographic, we're done. We're just toast. We really are. The Democrats have historically done a really great job of doing that. So it's up to you guys to figure out really how to save the party, right? No pressure. Don't worry about it. You'll do great. So first of all, I want to know how many of you are going into college this year or are already in college? Raise your hands. Okay, is there anyone here that's still in high school? Okay, awesome, great. So how many of you guys will be voting for the first time in this upcoming election? Wow. Welcome to the circus. It's kind of a crazy time to step in. Okay, so today I was asked to come in and talk to you guys about my experience as an activist and kind of offer some been there, done that advice. I started out just like you guys. Now, I was not fortunate enough to have such an amazing grassroots organization like Turning Point, so you guys are already one step ahead of me. But I really started getting involved in college. Social media, like Facebook, had just come out. I don't know if you guys can imagine that. I survived the dark ages without Facebook and hashtags. So that wasn't really relevant in my case when I was in college trying to be an activist. But I was determined to make a difference. So during George W. Bush's second election, I recruited my roommate. Now, my roommate was previously willfully ignorant about politics. She did not care. She was totally fine with not caring. So fortunately or unfortunately for her, I was her roommate. So she heard about it whether she wanted to or not. And somehow I got her on my side, and we just said, okay, well, how do we do this? What are we going to do to really get attention, to get people, talking to us? So we're broke college students, right? So we go to Hobby Lobby. We get these T-shirts, paint pens. We made these homemade shirts making fun of John Kerry's name. and went out to the most populated common area at my school, at the Quad, and we printed out these homemade printouts that I just printed them out in my dorm room, just kind of gathered information about George W., reasons to vote for him. On the flip side, there was information about John Kerry, reasons not to vote for him, and we just started handing these out to people. Some people were very gracious. They took them, they said thank you, or they smiled. Some people were not so gracious, right? Some people were very dramatic. They would crumble it up right in front of us and throw it in the trash can just to make a point. And my personal favorites were, have you guys ever seen The Matrix? Anyone? Okay, you have. So there were some people, I swear they thought if they touched something that one of us had, that they would get the conservative disease, and they would do these Matrix-style moves just to dodge touching anything that we had. It was pretty incredible. But you just kind of have to go with it. You have to know it's going to happen, and you have to have thick skin. I'm sure you guys have heard about having thick skin, letting it all roll off by this point, right? So if you don't have it yet, grow it now, really, because you're going to need it, especially you guys. You are the future of the party, and love him or not, Donald Trump is the nominee, so you're going to need to be prepared to take some heat, because some heat's coming your way. Just a little personal story to go along with that. I have never told this story before, but I'm about to. I had a high school boyfriend that I dated going into college. And during this election, he was never really political, but during that election, he told me that I was not allowed to vote for George Bush, and that we would have to break up if I didn't vote for John Kerry. He really told me that. So we haven't spoken since, but I hear he's doing fine. But that was the end of that. So in all seriousness, getting involved in activism, it really is important to remember not to get into it looking for personal gain. You're going to be sorely disappointed if you get into it trying to get pats on the back, stuff like that. Obviously, you guys know this. Being an activist is really about seeing something in the world that you want to change and trying to make a difference. So it's not sexy. It's really not. It's not going to be easy. You're changing something, and change is never easy. People generally don't like change. They push back at change. A lot of people are going to lash out at you for speaking up. Why? Because you guys are the ones that are doing all the talking. You're out there on the front lines with a giant target on you, basically. So just be prepared. They're not going to be kind, but you can't let it deter you. In fact, it really should give you a stronger resolve that you're making a difference when people are taking aim at you. So even now over at RedState, there we go, we get emails all the time telling us we are horrible, terrible people, we're ruining America, we should die. They all contain horrible grammatical errors. It's very charming. One of my fellow contributors, Ben Howe, who you guys probably know of, he's done a lot of work in the Never Trump movement, and he has taken a lot of heat these last couple months for his work there. Every time he is on cable TV, anything like that, he is met with just hundreds of emails, death threats, insulting his family. There are some people who actually dug up his old business records, and they doxed him basically. So they dug up his old business records, they dug up previous addresses, they published it all on the internet for people. He's just been taking a lot of heat, and I couldn't even really imagine what that's like. But just try to remind him, you wouldn't be getting under their skin if you weren't making a difference. And they see you as effective. That's why you're on their hit list, right? So anyway, I'm sure you guys have read this lovely little gem of a message up here. I just wanted to give you an example of a couple emails that we get that were short and sweet, and really there are a lot of them I can't show you because I would have to censor them too much. So I picked kind of the easier ones for that. So G, who is so brave and courageous that they gave their full name of G, says, filthy Mexican wannabes, right? It's uncomfortable to talk about. It is. It's hard, but people really can be terrible. So, I think it's important that you guys know that. There's one more that I wanted to show you. Again, only one that it was easy to censor. So you are the enemy, and you will be remembered come the great reversal. Okay, whatever that means. Thanks, Harry Savannah. We're all shaking in our boots. All right, actually, yeah, I'm gonna leave it there. Okay, so when that happens to you guys, congratulations, you're succeeding. Keep going, right? Okay, so I want to ask you guys, how many of you actually want to go into politics as a career, and not just as a politician, but just in the area? You want to do it for your career? Awesome. I love it. Love it. Okay, well, I want to tell you what my big mistake was when I was about your age. I thought that I had to have a career in the field in order to really make a difference. So I went into sales straight out of college. That was where the money was. I had my eye on the prize. That's where I went. And I thought, I can't do politics right now. There's just nothing that I can do on the side that would be big enough to make a difference. And I think a lot of people feel that way. And I think a lot of people also think, well, you know, I'm young, I don't know enough to be taken seriously, and it's just wrong. All of it. It was so wrong. It was wrong of me to think. And I missed out on so many opportunities in between the time that, you know, I graduated college and then when I started getting involved again. I could have been doing so many things and being very effective at them, and I missed out on that time. So don't make my mistake. There's always something that you can do, and there's always a difference that you can make no matter where you end up in the workforce. So please remember that, because we need all of you, even if you're not actually working in it. So after I became a business owner, the light bulb kind of came on for me, and in addition to writing at RedState, I try to work as much as I can at the local level. With campaigns and like-minded groups. I know the presidential election is more exciting. I know it garners more attention on the years that it happens. All of the other little races get overshadowed, but I really would argue that it is so much more important to get involved at a local level. We still have states' rights, for now anyway, right? The liberals have not pried it from our cold, dead hands, right? And it's really important to remember how much goes on at the local level, how many laws are enacted at the local level. There are taxes paid at the local level. Abortion laws happen at the state level, and so on. So who you have representing you, it's really going to affect you, who you have representing you locally, way more on a daily basis than anyone who's president. So it's really, really imperative to pay attention to the people representing you locally. This is what I do. It's a lot of what I do, and it involves a lot of grunt work, a lot of walking, a lot of door knocking. You're basically a salesperson for this brand, right? You're selling it. You're the salesperson. And the brand is the candidate or the idea. That's your job. You got to sell it. So one of the things that I have found in this experience, and I say this because I have a lot of sales experience as well, so I kind of try to blend the two together. You really, really, really have to be organized. Not all campaigns will be organized. Here is the problem. The people that we usually want representing us are going to be just like us. They're going to be these grassroots activists that come out. They're true conservatives, live and die conservatives, and they've never done anything like this before. They've not ever held office. They haven't, they haven't been in politics, and that's what makes them so great, right? But that's also why they have no money. They come into it with no money at all. So, how are they going to afford great people? How are they going to afford experienced people? How are they going to afford people who know what they're doing? Sometimes they can't, and sometimes they have to cut corners, and they can't afford to have a full staff. So in my case, I just worked recently on a campaign for a Texas House race, and my candidate, he was a way better option than the incumbent, but he had never done anything like it before, grassroots conservative guy, and his campaign was just super disorganized. It was bad. I love him, but it was really bad. So, and he can't pay anyone to do any better. So, my friend and I had committed to volunteering for this campaign, and we went door knocking for him. So we went door to door, and we went with the material that he had given us, which was just the standard push card. So it, had his face on it, and it kind of talked a little bit about his ideas. And we went door knocking, and it just wasn't cutting it. It was great because you always want to, put the name and the face out as many times as you can, but it wasn't enough to have a meaningful conversation, because what happens when you just give them something that they have to read, and that's it. So you go to the door, and on the off chance that you get someone that's actually home, you hand it to them, and what do they say? Thanks, I'll take a look at this. And then it either goes straight in the trash can, or it sits on their dining room table for, months and months, and they don't get around to looking at it. So we were trying to decide, how can we get people more engaged? How can we get them, talking back and forth? Because we have to get a hook in there somewhere. That's how you're going to get people to vote for your candidate. That's how you're going to get people on your side for your brand. You got to hook them, right? So we formed kind of our own organized method, and with the approval of the candidate, because you always want to get that, I would never go rogue, we kind of developed our own strategy here. So let me show you. Okay. And I'm not telling you, to definitely do this. You'll learn what works and what doesn't for you, but I just wanted to show you what we decided worked really well for us. So on the back of these clipboards, we took our clipboards and just like this, we just taped it to the back, right? And we listed the top issues for conservatives in Texas. So you see here, we're in Texas, so illegal immigration is big there. Healthcare, abortion, economy, gun rights, religious liberty. And so now you walk up to someone's door, and instead of just handing them a push card, you hand them the push card as well, but you also say, I know, I don't want to take up your time. I'm out here walking for my, my friend so-and-so. Okay, but really quickly, 30 seconds, what is the most important issue to you on here? Everybody has an opinion. Everyone's going to they're going to tell you. Sometimes they'll tell you they're all important, and then you've really gotten in, right? But usually, they're going to tell you what their issue is. And then, on the other side of the clipboard, this was strictly for us, so it's not written in a way that you would want to give to them. But for us, for our knowledge, we went and we just researched. We looked up the different, we looked up the incumbent's record on these things, which we already knew was weak. That's why we wanted to get them out. And we knew what our guys' ideas were. So for us, let's say, that they said healthcare. And so we have this right here, which we eventually memorized. But so, okay, well, the incumbent supported, the expansion of state insurance exchanges. He supported Obamacare. Then you're hooking this person, and they're going, oh, I didn't know that he did that. I didn't, really? But he's supposed to be conservative. Yeah, I know, but he's not. So, and then on the flip side, we have what our guy stands for, what he believes in, and what he wants to do. So this was a way that we found that was really, really effective at really getting the message out, really, hooking people so that they're actually interested. Otherwise, you just can't be too passive when you're going out and talking to people. You really have to hook them somehow. So, like I said, you guys will figure out what works and what doesn't through your own experiences, and maybe it's different where you guys live. But I just thought that I would share that with you, and I want to make sure that you guys understand that you can't be afraid to take initiative to get a cause more organized or more effective, even if it's not necessarily in your job description, or if you're not getting paid for it at all. So the way I got involved with RedState was really so simple that any of you could do something similar. Our site has a spot where any person can create a diary and sort of use it as their blog. And I know blogs are super easy to start up these days, right? I'm not sure if you guys can tell yet, but I kind of have a lot to say. So I started my diary, and I just started writing. And some of my earlier pieces were about feminists on The View. Now, I'm sure none of you guys have any strong opinions on those lovely ladies, right? Aren't they wonderful? And let's see, I wrote about transgendered students in high school bathrooms. I wrote about that. I may have written a piece or two about millennial culture, but I'm sure none of that applies to you, so don't hold it against me. So the point is, I had something to say, and I found a platform to say it, and people started paying attention. They asked me to sign on as a front page contributor. I've worked with them since last year, and I've had the opportunity to do some really, really, really awesome things. I went to Iowa for the caucus. It was my first time. I had never done anything like it, and I was able to attend rallies for Cruz, Rubio, and Trump. And let me tell you, each of them was so incredibly different from the others. I got to meet Marco Rubio, and I totally fangirled over him. I'm not even gonna lie. It was awesome. I'm unashamed. I was at CPAC in March. I don't know if any of you guys were there. I know Turning Point. Were you? Okay. Turning Point had such a huge presence there. And I wrote a piece on this. I was just amazed at the young presence at CPAC. Again, it was my first time. I didn't know what to expect. And I went out of there, I felt so refreshed. I mean, the Republican Party right now is just like, it's a beating. But I felt really good leaving that conference because the young presence that was there. I really did. It was incredible. It was so encouraging. So I was so glad to see you guys there. I'm going to cover the Republican convention next month for RedState, which should be interesting and maybe a little bit scary, but interesting for sure. And if I hadn't taken the initiative to do this, not as a job, but just for the sake of being active and doing something, in this case, writing about the political arena, I would be missing out on all these opportunities. So that's kind of my spiel, that's my story. I hope that it is encouraging to you guys that no matter your place in the workforce, you can still make a difference in the world. You don't have to be right there, in the political arena nonstop. So press on, don't give up. Eventually, it's really going to be up to you. It's going to be up to all of you in this room to get things done. And you're going to have to carry the Republican Party. So, especially being minorities, we really need to be speaking up. We need to be speaking up. We need to be speaking out. We need to be breaking the stereotypes that minorities shouldn't be conservatives, because really that really couldn't be farther from the truth. But somehow it's taboo, right? So the more of us that everyone sees speaking up, the more inclined others are going to be to follow suit. I promise you. And it really is make or break time, so there's no excuses not to get involved. There's one last thing that I would like to leave you with, and then I'm going to ask for some audience participation, so you guys be ready. So some of the contributors at the site offered some advice for all of you, so I wanted to share it, but first I wanted to just kind of summarize. These are just my opinions, so take them for what they're worth, right? But so don't expect glamour or glory. Really, you're not going to get it. You won't. You'll get the opposite. Build thick skin, just let it all roll off. It really takes more than social media. Okay, here's the deal with social media. I love it. I can tell you, going from the dark ages into the light, it has made so much of a difference. So here's what I mean by this. Do the social media, use the hashtags. You guys are so effective at that, and that's what you need to be doing. But you have to still remember to get out and talk to people. Go out and talk to your friends. Talk to your family. I'm not going to tell you, like the Obama administration has told you before, or they've told their followers before, go to, sit at the Thanksgiving table and talk to Uncle Tommy about Obamacare and how great it is. I'm not telling you to, go to Christmas and get in a fight with, someone, with your sister because they're liberal. All I'm saying is there are ins, I think, that we miss a lot of times because we feel like it might be awkward or it might be strained, but there are ins. There are ins that are happening, and when you hear it, you have to take it. Your close friends, who else are they going to listen to? If you think about it, are they going to be more inclined to listen to someone that they don't know that's on the internet, or are they going to be more inclined to listen to someone who they know, they respect, they trust, they know you're not crazy, right? Because they're friends with you. Or maybe that's why they're friends with you, I don't know. But so you have to remember, you have to get out and you have to talk to people. That's where you're really, really, really going to be effective. You have to use social media, and you have to get out and talk to people. Don't just keep it in your computer. Always ask questions. Okay, so asking questions does two things. One, if you ask questions, obviously you have the opportunity to gain more knowledge, right? Things are constantly changing. You always want to be sure that even if you have a viewpoint that you think is right, you still should be challenging yourself to make sure that that's still how you feel. Two, you will be surprised at how well you will stump liberals just by asking them questions. It's a little bit more disarming. So instead of refuting something that they're saying, you don't say, no, you're wrong, but you ask it in a question form. So let me give you an example. Maybe gun rights. They go kind of insane over gun rights, don't they? So you've got a liberal telling you that there need to be, more gun laws, more gun-free zones, whatever. Instead of telling them that they're wrong and telling them, no, this is what needs to happen, you ask them, okay, so how will that make us safer? Okay, but what about all of the gun-free zones that these shootings are happening in? And put it on them to answer your question. How are they going to? They can't, right? But you're putting it on them instead of, when you tell someone that they're wrong, their defenses go up. They want to get defensive, and they want to dig their heels in. So I find that it really does, and this is kind of a sales trick, so take it for what it's worth. But I use it all the time in my day job. You got to ask it in question form instead of telling someone that they're wrong. Put it back on them to answer why they're wrong, and they either won't answer you, or they'll answer you wrong. And either way, you've won the argument. So it's a marathon, not a sprint. That one is self-explanatory. I'm sure I don't have to go into it. We're all in this for the long haul, so don't get too caught up in the day-to-day, little debates. Have them, but just, don't get too caught up in it. Just do something. All of you in this room need to continue doing something. When you graduate, you go out and you get a job. Keep doing something. Doesn't matter if you think it's small. I promise you, you're still making a difference. Take initiative to make something more efficient. So, like I was talking about, with me, it was organizing campaigns. With you, you might see something, you're working with someone, you're working with a campaign, you might see something, and you might think to yourself, gosh, I wonder if we just did it, this way, if maybe this would be more efficient, or maybe this would be more effective. Do it. Just take initiative to do it. I included my email there if anyone wants to contact me afterwards if you have any questions. So this is really quick. So I asked them to give you guys some advice, and they gave me some. Okay, so Jay Caruso, I'm not going to read this word for word. I know you guys can read, but he does bring up a very good point. Knowledge is key. You have to be reading from different perspectives. So he points out not InfoWars. It's not what he means, but mainstream stuff. So read the NY Times, Wall Street Journal, Talking Points Memo, which I read all the time, by the way. RedState. You got to get it from both sides. And I think this is a really, really great point. It's easier to counter the argument of somebody on the left when you have their talking points in your head. So you want to understand them. You want to understand their psychology. You want to understand who you're up against and what you can say that can be effective. So Thomas Crown, don't think you're an expert because you've done it once. Assume you've become an expert if others consult you about it regularly. Listen to the experts in their fields and don't assume all knowledge can be distilled in written form. And I really like this last line. Successfully persuading is as much about listening and observing your audience as it is about speaking, if not more. And that's kind of what I was trying to get into. Social media is it has changed the game of activism. It really has. But don't forget to put the two things together. You have to be in front of people, and you have to be listening to them. They have to know that you respect them before they're going to listen to anything that you have to say. And when you're in front of them listening to what they have to say, they're going to see that you respect them first, right? Kim Ross, short and sweet, never read the comments. I find that this is a great general rule, especially if you're going to get involved in writing, but even just in general, don't read the comments. I would rather bang my head against a wall. Dan McLaughlin, don't go into this business if you don't take losing or rejection well. I would like to tweak that a little bit because I do not want to tell any of you not to go into this business. You all need to go into this business, even if it's on the side, right? So I'm going to tweak this and say, make sure that you can take losing and rejection well when you go into this business. Joe Cunningham, he is a teacher full-time, And so his advice to you guys, again, take this for what it's worth. This isn't coming from me, but he says do something else that's also meaningful and something else that's also fulfilling and make this the side gig. And I do think that there's something to be said for that for a lot of people. I think that it can get very overwhelming at times because, I mean, you eat, breathe, sleep, politics, and it just gets to be a lot. So he thinks that, maybe you should consider that so that you don't get burnout. We don't want you guys burn out. Brandon Morse kind of added to that. Work in the political world, don't live in it. It will drive you insane. Again, there really is something to be said for that. You can get burnout in this so quickly, so easily, if you don't just take a step back and just take small, short breaks. So, go to the beach for a week and take Twitter off your phone or whatever, and just take short breaks, please. Do it, because real life is going to come at you, and it's going to hit you, and you're going to be involved in this, and you're going to drive yourself crazy. Okay, so Leon, our managing editor, he says, ignore criticism from people who haven't actually done what you're attempting to do. Everyone in the world is an expert in their own heads at politics, aren't they? And on the internet now, with social media, everyone has an opinion on what you say or do. But are they the ones that are actually going out and doing it? No, they're not, but they want to have an opinion. So that's his point. They can all find you, and they can all give you their opinions, most of which are stupid and unworkable. They really are. So don't respond, don't listen, smile, nod, and go back to what you were doing. Let it all roll off, like I was talking about. So, really quickly, I want to invite you guys to our RedState gathering that we have every year. This year, it is in Denver, which I'm really excited about. Denver is supposed to be beautiful in August. So it's August 12th through the 14th. It's at the Grand Hyatt Hotel. And I just listed out some speakers that are already confirmed to be there. So Ted Cruz, we're right about to confirm him. What was that? Oh, okay. So, yeah, so he should be coming. He's not 100%, but. So I would really, really, really love to see you guys there. We really need more of a young presence. And I know that the tickets right now are as low as they're going to get. They have them on sale right now. They are as low as they will be. So please come. I know that we have a panel planned that is a minority outreach panel. So I'll be there. The other contributors will be there along with these fabulous speakers. So now I want to ask you guys some questions. Are you ready? I know you just ate. You're not sleeping yet? Okay. Yeah, I didn't put that up. I'm not. Okay. That wasn't me. Okay, so how do you guys think that we can spread a more effective message just as far as reaching out to other Latinos and Hispanics? How do we get them? Bring more food. Okay, that's a really great point. That's a really great point. Okay, who else? Yes. Okay. Right. Okay. Right. I really love that. Did everybody hear that? Okay, that was great. Yes. Yes. Right. And it kind of is these days, too, right? I mean, it's really not, I hesitate to even associate myself with the Republican Party so much as just, I'm a conservative, right? Yeah, that's a really great point. That's a really great point. Yes. Okay. Well, right, because the Democrats have. Right, right. Right. That's a really great point, too. Yes. Right. Right. We still want to help you. We just don't want the government to force us to do it. Yeah, for sure. Who else? Yes. Right. 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 Okay. Yes. Okay. Right. Interesting. Interesting. Um, what about, trying to think, what about young people? How are you guys finding that it's effective to hook your friends who are your age? Yes. Right. 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 Or you could ask them about it, right? Yeah. You could turn it into a question and ask them to give you more information, and they won't know, right? So you've stumped them. Right. Yeah, that's a great point too. So my very best friend in the whole world thought that she was a liberal until we became friends. And again, that's why I'm so on about talking to your friends, talking to your family, because you're able to have respectful discussions, debates, right? They're civil, and that's where you're really going to be able to reach people. So that's a really great point. Okay, well, if nobody else has anything else, any other advice for me? Yes?
I would just say, kind of off what they were, what we were talking about actually talking about issues that matter to young people.
Right.
Obviously, the left is doing a great job. They talk
Yep.
about what progressive leftists can do with you. I would also say turn it around, because quite frankly, all of us in this room know that capitalism brings us so much, and we do a really terrible job at messaging it.
Right.
So I'd say focus more on that. So for instance, instead of saying capitalism, more jobs, free trade, and it goes right over there.
Right, right.
That means.
Right.
So you like your smartphone, right? You like your iPhone. Well, would you want that to cost like $500 or $1,000? Well, let me tell you about free trade.
Yeah.
You can have a cheaper iPhone.
And that's your in. Yeah.
So talk about why it applies to them instead of just these vague things that you assume people understand.
Right. I love that. Okay. Well, does anyone have any questions for me? Yes.
So I said you went to a Marco Rubio rally for 2 years.
Yes.
Which rally did you like the most? It's not political party.
Oh, yeah, no. Okay, so I don't want this to sound biased because I have already said I fangirled over Marco Rubio, and I'll tell you why I enjoyed his the most. When he has a rally, you feel like he's talking just to you. He has this way of speaking, doesn't he? And it feels like you're the only one in the room and he's speaking directly to you, and it's just so conversational. And you know, it was so much different than you go to the Cruz rally and there's music blaring, you know, all these rock songs, and it kind of felt more like a rock concert than anything else. The Trump rally was an off day. I think it was a little weird. It wasn't. I would have expected the Trump rally to be a lot more, you know, boisterous, and it really wasn't. But I think it was kind of a weird day for him. But so the Rubio rally was far and away my favorite, just because it felt so much more relaxed and personal than the others. Hold on real quick. The Cruz rally, by the way, there were probably 8 people who came up to talk before him. It was so long, and he's great, but it kind of drug on a little bit. So, yes, I saw you raising your hand, sir.
Oh, yes. What's your opinion on Donald Trump?
Do I have to answer? Okay. Yeah. I think this is tough. I think. See, I see these hats on, and I don't want to offend anyone. Okay. Oh, you're not? You just well. Okay. So I think that like he has at first when he first came out, you know, you're like, well, he has some great points, and I mean, at the root of what he started out saying was like, well, yeah, I mean, okay, I can agree, but then he just is not right to be president, right? He's not presidential. I'm sorry. I prefer my I will put it to you like this. I prefer my president to have act a little bit classier. So, yes. I totally respect if you don't. I do. And I have to tell you how many people have told me to, always Donald Trump supporters, we're sending you back to Hispanic America. And, I'm like, no, I know. And that's totally fine. I'm just telling you. Right, sure. Yeah, no, sure, he doesn't know. No, I'm just saying, whenever I get the racism, it's from a Trump supporter. I'm not saying they all are racist. I'm just saying, So, yeah, I do think, yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for putting me on the spot. Yes. Amazon. Yes. I don't think there is one, and I think that's the problem, right? There are so many, we're just so spread right now. There are these little factions of the Conservative Party, and they want different things, and they're spreading away from each other. So I think because of that, there's not really one person right now that's kind of heading up everything, because we're just kind of split right now. Sorry. It's a really weird time, though. Any other election cycle, I probably could have answered that question, but this one has been just so polarizing that I don't think that there is one, and I think that's the problem. Anybody else, really quickly? My time's almost up. Yes. I think it's really sad. I wish that we could find a way to come to some kind of, not happy medium. Like, I don't want anyone to compromise, but it's why we are where we are right now. This election is so important, and I'm out of time. I'm being told I'm out of time, but that's why we are, because we have different ideas, and we're all coming from different lifestyles, and we can't find a way to really make it work anymore altogether. So I think it will be really interesting to see how that plays out, if there's another party that really kind of comes into play or what. But anyway, sorry, yes, really quick. Sure, yeah, I'll head out. I'll be out there. And they told me, I think there's one more person, and then I said that I would come out after everything's over as well. So I'll be out there if you guys want to talk. Thank you guys so much. I'm going to grab my stuff and get out of here.